Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank the Scientific Board, the Organizational Committee, and the moderator for the perfect presentation. And so today I'm going to talk about a topic that I think may be considered in line with all the things that we say all over these days, but from a different point of view. Because today I'm going to talk about museums in Italy and how do they interact with people, stakeholders, and with issues just like climate change or sustainable development. So what are the strategies? My presentation will be divided into three parts. A first part on the overview. I will be very smart, I promise. The first part will be on the overview of normative models for the development and of SBS. The SBS is a social report. It's a tool through which we may understand how museums interact with people, with stakeholders, with publics. The second part will be related to the SBS main goals and topics, while the third part will be related to green policies in SBS Italian leading museums. That's the core of the presentation, and that's why I'm here today, because I would like to show you how some of the most important museums in Italy interact and deal with some of the most important topics of today. So, what's a social balance sheet? So a social report. According to the Italian law number 4 of 2019, social balance sheet may be defined as a tool for reporting on the responsibilities, behaviors, and social, environmental, and economic results of activities carried out by an organization in order to offer structured and timely information to all stakeholders. In fact, the sentence, the reporting of social, environmental, and economic behavior and results can be summarized using the Anglo-Saxon term of accountability. And this quote encompasses all the presupposes in addition to concepts of responsibility, those of transparency and compliance. So just to wrap it up, the SBS is a tool through which we may communicate not only on the core business of the museum itself, but even regarding all the activities led by the museum. In Italy, was going to draft a social balance sheet, the non-profit entities with revenues or income exceeding 1 million euros, the voluntary service and centers, and the social enterprises, including social cooperatives and groups of social enterprises. So it's clear that museums may be included in these three categories. Just to give a perfect overview on the topic, so a social balance sheet needs to provide more than purely economic and financial information. That's what I talked before, and the possibility given to stakeholders through the social report to know the value generated by the organization. So what not only the economic value, but even the social value. And in fact, through the SBS, we may provide all stakeholders with an overview of the activities, their nature, the results of the institutions, foster participatory process both internal and external in the organization, provide useful information on the quality of entities' activities to broaden and improve the knowledge and possibilities of stakeholder assessment and choice, provide an information on balance between expectation of stakeholders and indicate the commitments made to them, and provide information on the interaction between the entity and the environment in which it operates. So according to our national guidelines, what we have to include in an SBS when it comes to museum, obviously we're going to see that there are types of environmental impact related to the activities carried out, and it's something that we're going to see in the next few minutes. Moreover, policies and methods for managing the impacts of museums' activities, so try to have the KPI on that. And even the environmental impact indicators, as I told you before, consumption of energy, for example, and raw materials and waste production. I think this is very, very important, this specific topic, because it's a way through which a museum may assess its own impact on the territory and on the local districts. And a benchmark, so the variation of the values assumed by the institutions and a trend all over the years about the specific this specific topic. So this very smart part, it's a panoramic overview on the legal framework and on the framework about social trends and SBS or the way museums interact with this specific topic. Probably the more interesting part is the one related to the activities led by some of the most important museums. And the main goal of this part of the presentation is to try to understand the difference between different museums in terms of strategies when it comes to deal with this specific topic. So, for example, the MAN, it's the National Archaeological Museum of Naples. The activities led by MAN are led through, for example, exhibitions or publication. In fact, for example, one of the most interesting activities led by MAN is the Maurizio Finotto's Archaeology by the Beach exhibition. That's an intervention reflecting on the relationship between archaeological finds and beaches and the plastic waste that infest the seas on a daily basis. And in fact, in the exhibition area, MAN sets as its primary goal new forms of communication to convey a message to users and visitors through the presence of projects with a high educational and training impact. So, first example, we have archaeological museums that deal with this specific topic through training impact, educational and training impact, or exhibitions or publication. So, it's a first step. One step ahead, Leonardo da Vinci Museum, it's a national museum for science and technology in Italy, in Milan. We have one step further. So their activities involve, for example, training courses led by the museum itself, and which involved 345 children in just 1 year, 16 teachers and 14 classes. In order to contribute to development, to the critical thinking and awareness. So we have here a one step behind, one step further in terms of impact, because we're talking about training program that are related to activities for schools and universities and people of the community which the museums belong to. Or, for example, some researches, just like the one presented during the Milano Green Week, that's the climate and environmental migration that's a project called Le Rotte del Clima, and that's a study promoted by a study center focused on the monitoring of various ecosystems and their evolution. The third case, it's the Egyptian Museums of Turin. Probably this is one of the most interesting cases in terms of way through which museums interact with this specific topic, because the Egyptian Museums of Turin is the first Italian museums, and I will say it's even the just one museums in Italy that this specific activity that has an office environmental management. So an office related to the waste production and the management of the consumption and the analysis of the consumption. In fact, according to their studies, between 2021 and 2022, museums increased, for example, the electricity consumption by 21% and water consumption by 25%, while thermal consumption decreased by 22%. These are all data that may be gained just through an analysis, a specific analysis on the activities led by the museum itself. And moreover, they have a specific clue on what they produced and what they do all over the year. In fact, in just 1 year, they analyzed and monitored that museums produced more than 4,000 kilograms of plastic, more than 5,000 special waste, more than 6,000 of glass, more than 50,000 paper cartoon, and more than 31,000 kilograms. We're talking about kilograms, undifferentiated waste. Last case is the MUSE, the Science Museum of Trento, and this is probably total different beast when it comes to the way museums may interact with social changes or climate change or sustainable development, because all the cases that we have seen right now deal with this specific topic, even without they have that in their core mission, their own mission. While when it comes to the Museum of Trento, museum's vision itself is structured on the basis of clear goals, such as investigating nature, sharing science, inspiring society for sustainable development. So in this case, the museum is no longer concerned with the mere scientific research. Their own goal is not the protection of the collection, for example, but their own goal is to protect the nature and to foster the sustainable development and to interact with people and publics of their own territory. In fact, this is just one example. We have one project that is the Life Wolf Alps EU. That's a project related to training courses in which that involve the way through people interact with wolves on the Alps. And it's interesting because part of the training program is related to the people, the same people of the territory that are pillars themselves of the project. So it's a 5-year project with more than 19 organizations or institutions that work to support the coexistence of people and wolves on the Alps. And as I told you before, it's really interesting because this specific part, because the people itself are part of the process. So the museum is a pillar of the activities, but even the people of the territory and all the stakeholders are involved in order to enhance, to foster sustainability, and to share awareness on this specific topic. So just to wrap it up, as you may see, when it comes to museums, the very first mission of the museums is to collect and is to protect their own collection and to share and to valorize the collection. But we have even different steps. So a museum has its own mission, a specific mission to interact with people, to foster awareness, and to show how they may have an impact on the territory and on stakeholders, and they do this in very different ways. So when it comes to archaeological museums, they will have a very light strategy on that, so just exhibitions or publication. And then we have other steps, just like training programs or just like simple projects or the analysis of consumption and raw materials. And we have this project that the museums is the center of an entire community and share the knowledge and share the activities and have a real impact on the territories, on the stakeholders, and so on. So I would really like to thank you all for the attention, and I always like to leave here my contacts because when it comes to this specific topic, it's a very wide sector. So it would be interesting probably made to interact or made to share some thoughts on that or share some projects on that. So that would be interesting. Thank you.